This is We Bleed Purple podcast. This is the Week 11 Cleveland Browns preview. Daniel Wilcox, Matt Sugar. We are joined tonight by a very special guest. He is beloved by Ravens Nation. He is on WJZ's Purple pregame and postgame show. He is a Super Bowl champion from the Super Bowl 35 Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Qadry Ismail. Q, welcome to the show, my friend.
Fellas, appreciate you having me on.
Q, man, it's our pleasure, brother. It's our pleasure, man. Good to see you, brother.
Man, I'm just sitting here wondering whether or not the Ravens are going to get to 500. One more game. Come on.
Hey, we wondering the same damn thing, boy. I tell you what, this season started off a little rocky for us, and I literally thought we was going to go undefeated this year, Q. And then when this season started with that first game against Buffalo, and then we lose by 1 point, and I'm like, what the heck is going? I'm rubbing my head. Like, it's so crazy for me since I've been retired. Like, I was never really a football fan. I just love the game so much. I've been playing since I was 5. And then I retired and I started doing this podcast. And before you know it, it's like I started kind of turning into a fan. Like, literally starting to turn into a fan. I'm starting to feel like these losses, like I'm still playing all of a sudden. I'm like, bro, these hasn't affected me at all, for the last 10 years. And all of a sudden I started doing this podcast and I'm getting to know all the players again. And this shit's been a headache, bro. Like, I did not expect for us to come off, start the season 1-5. And I was sick to my stomach.
Interesting because for me, since retiring back in the day and obviously jumping into the media space and now the new media space, I think my fandom of the game has gone through this kind of up and down wave, if you will. I like the fact that I get a chance to talk about, the game and really break it all down. I do think, though, from a new media standpoint, there are some fans and there are, people out there that want to interject their opinions, and they do it in such a way that even if you say something, they misunderstand it and they try to flip it to make themselves look cool.
Yeah.
And so I think other than that, I'm loving every bit of, each Ravens season, and in particular what you're saying as far as them going undefeated. Yeah, I thought that going into preseason they were picked to do it all. They had the Super Bowl roster, and all the pundits were saying they're built for it. But
right.
I do recognize that each and every year there's always something that you got to overcome and recognize. And I think in the overcoming and recognizing element for this Ravens ball club, Kyle Hamilton said it so well, like, you got to play the games. You can't get caught up in, oh yeah, we're the Ravens. We're just going to show up and everybody's going to bow to us. And I think this season, all of the quote unquote top teams, whether it be the Chiefs, whether it be the Bills, the Ravens, heck, even the Patriots, that have come out of nowhere, there are teams that you just thought all they had to do is show up. And then there were teams that you were like, they're just going to be bottom dwellers. But the script is flipped. And what we have right now in week 11 is a fun, exciting race to the finish. And I'm kind of anxious to see how it all will turn out.
Man, me too, boy. I'm telling you, like, I'm like, my nails look like crap. I mean, look at my nails, bro. I can't even get a pedicure right now, a manicure right now.
Get them. Let's do it. Mani-pedi time for yourself. Help yourself out.
It's been a crazy season so far. I get so, because I've done this thing from 3 sides, Q. So I've done it from the players side, I've done it from the coaching side, and then now I got a chance to do a little bit of the scouting department side. So I've kind of seen all 3 phases of it. And of course, now we're doing the media stuff too as well. So, watching this stuff and I've watched these last 2 seasons and been sick to my stomach 2 years in a row. The AFC Championship game, we was deep. All of us came to. I mean, we probably had 200 Ravens in the stadium that game watching the.
Yeah, we did.
Play. We was deep, and we sit down and watch these boys be the number 1 rushing offense in the league and didn't run the ball but 3-4 times and then lose the game in the AFC Championship at home. And we sick to our stomach, and then come back last year, and then we have the Mark Andrews drop up in Buffalo, and then we lose again, and we was number 1 rushing offense again and lose the game, and then barely gave the ball to Derrick Henry the whole game. And now here we go again, starting the season off with Derrick Henry with 3 fumbles and, you know, all this stuff, man. And it's became like this thing where it's like they right there at the cusp where they going to the Super Bowl. They almost there 2 years in a row. And you remember the Ray Lewis speech last time they won, you know, the year before they lost. And he came in and said, we're going to be right back here next year. Let's start working right now. And to prepare themselves. And I don't think we got that type of leadership no more on the squad. So when I watch this, it's kind of disheartening. And then I keep thinking like most of the stuff that we're going through is like coaching issues. And that's been like a big harp of mine because the AFC Championship game didn't run the ball at all. Last year, you know, we just wasn't prepared as well as we should have been. And all the big games we get into, I feel like it comes down to kind of coaching. You know, we just get out coached in these big games, and I just don't see the players, you know, responding to the coaching staff the way I thought they would have. What do you think about that? How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, all good points that you brought up. I think when you look at any year, if it's the expectations from a Ravens point of view, and you reference back to the AFC Championship game, I mean, I was there, you know, broadcasting it from a WJZ standpoint. We, you know, did our show, and the energy, the excitement, all of it was just, it was ready. It was like, all right, we're about to do this.
Electric, yeah.
And all of a sudden you look at it and it was like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Exactly.
I don't know if it is they didn't run the ball per se, so much as I think the defense put them in a position where they didn't get comfortable offensively. And then the Ravens defense, whether it be Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce going up against Kyle Hamilton, who was first team All Pro. But, you know, there's a reason why you're going to look at Travis Kelce as a Hall of Famer, and you're going to look at Patrick Mahomes as a Hall of Famer. He threw an amazing back shoulder throw for a touchdown. I mean, that was just well covered. But they played a tactical game better than the Ravens did. They got out coached that day, and they got out hustled that day as well. So when you have that combination of being out coached and the strategies and the tactics just weren't in order, I think that's something that you got to look at. From there, though, they seem to be playing catch up. You know, even last year's, you know, you go to Kansas City, you start off a little shaky. Finally, you get some things going. You know, Isaiah Likely looks like a baller. And then all of a sudden, you get to the point where you get back into the game. The defense did not look good at all. And you wind up losing the game by a toe. You spin it forward. You recognize that, you know, the defense has to play a heck of a lot better. They do. They change some things around. They bench some guys. I think that took a lot of guts. And I think, you know, when you credit Zach Orr and what he did, that was awesome too. But you have Pittsburgh come to the stadium. I'm sitting up in the commissioner's booth, or box rather, and I'm like, all right, this is it. You know, they wreck and shop over Pittsburgh, the whole 9 yards, and all right, let's see what they got up in Buffalo. And humbly, I don't think it wasn't about them not running D Hen. I think it was about the Bills having a determination of they're going to win that game. But if you look at it, you saw where Derrick Henry, he drops a ball that was an opportunity for him to, you know, keep a drive alive. Did the drive stay alive? Yes, but I think that kind of disrupted a little bit of the rhythm. Lamar Jackson turning the ball over, you know. Exactly. You had, you know, some drop passes well before the 2-point conversion drop by Mark. And I think because of that, you know, it got a little bit in Mark's mind. So my point was your star players did not come ready to play. And then you look at defensively, they didn't stop not one time a soul. Like they just Bills went up and down the field. Where was the sudden stop? Where was the big turnover? Where was it get off the field type of a play? And the Bills, tactically they won that game too. You go ahead into this year, you got a murderer's row schedule the first 6 weeks. And I think this was going to be the telltale sign. All right, you're ready. You're going to do this. This is, you're built for this. Hey, you went to the offseason. Oh, you're more seasoned now than ever before. And then 6 weeks later, you're 1-5, and your offensive line has been struggling up and down all year. You lose to the Bills. You lose to the Texans. You lose to the Chiefs. You lose to the Lions. All those teams won their division. All those teams were in the playoffs, and you just don't look like you're that good of a ball club. I'm giving the floor back to you by saying this. This week, this game is incredibly pivotal, and all of that adversity, but all of that hype that they had and that they built up, maybe you've reached rock bottom, you have nowhere to go but up, and you know that you cannot take anything regular season wise for granted. Perhaps they get in by winning the division. Still a lot of games left. I'm not going to just go ahead and anoint them. But if they do, perhaps this 1-5 start, this, hey, it's us against the world, close down the locker room. Let's go ahead and be about us. Maybe that's what finally gets them over the hump, and they might be able to advance past the AFC Championship game. Perhaps.
Yeah, so you feel like this kind of gets them in the right mindset by, losing those 5 games. They needed to get kind of kicked in the ass a little bit to kind of reshuffle and readjust. And then hopefully they'll be able to take these 5 losses and let that catapult them to a win streak, like a real win streak. I mean, we're on a 3-game win streak right now, but, hopefully we can continue to move forward.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, Daniel. Like, we both know that it's a week-to-week league. We both know that it's a matchup type of a game. I know what happened for back in the day compared to nowadays. It's a different style of play and just different way in which you can go about it. However, so like when I say that, let me be a little bit more specific. The hitting is definitely
way different.
They're going to find you and you're going to lose a check, $46,000 for Marlon, trying to strip the ball away from the offensive player, but yet it looked like it was helmet, him leading with his helmet. So they call that. I'm sure Adam Thielen is going to be sick. $46,000.
Did he really?
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. You remember I said something about that too, Matt?
Yeah, you did.
I did. I didn't think they was gonna find him for real. That's crazy.
Bruh.
46,000.
46 and change. Wasn't 46 even either. You're like, well, Mom, Dad, Christmas is gonna be a little bit different this year. Okay, here we go. But everything is a little different. I was gonna say Adam Thielen with his hit on Kyle Hamilton. I mean, back in the day, you would be applauding that, like, yo, you did it. Instead, it's like, oh boy, you did it. You messed it up. And he's probably going to get fined for it when the fines come out if he hadn't already.
That's crazy.
But all that, it's a different game. But my point in saying it is that for this Ravens ball club, the fact that you can't take anything for granted. We've heard Lamar multiple times use the phrase, we got to just stay locked in. And when you were on the winning streak and things were going well, sometimes it makes that phrase kind of just like, yeah, Lamar, we're doing it. But no, now you really got to stay locked in. And yes, you do got to follow your leader who's now in his 8th season, and nothing in the NFL or in life is future guaranteed. So therefore, you got to look at the now. And this now proposition of Okay, who's up next? It's the Browns. You got to get to 500. How's it going to look? You know you got Dylan Gabriel. That's an advantage for you defensively. You know that Jerry Judy, you're going to have to figure out a way without Marlon in there. Is Nate Wiggins, he's going to travel and go across the field with him? Okay, you got to figure that out. Alohi Gilman and Kyle Hamilton seem to have the secondary on lock, and that's great. But what about the linebackers and stopping the run, getting off blocks and flowing correctly and making some tackle for losses? You know, the Browns game the first time around, you did a great job of it. But the Browns, they've improved their running game because that's, I think, what's going to really be the telltale. Can you get off the field by stopping them running the ball? I think you're going to do your job more than effectively against a young quarterback that is no Drew Brees. And Drew Brees was slight in stature compared to the traditional quarterback, but Drew could find that opening and sling it around. He's a Hall of Famer. Dylan Gabriel, let's not kid ourselves. This should be an advantage for the Ravens defensively. So we can talk about the offense and morph into that, but that's kind of just what I'm saying as far or seeing when it comes to, yeah, this is about get to 500 and stay locked in.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. Q, I agree with you. Daniel and I have talked on our show all season long that the last 2 years have been an utter disappointment at the end of the year. Daniel and I have spoken at length about that. And to come into this year with the schedule that we had, and like you said, it was a murderer's row for the first month of the season, month and a half of the season. And you make the decision to bring back this entire team and not improve your offensive line in the process. They let Patrick McCary go. They have stuck by 77 the entire season. He's going to get Lamar hurt.
Why did Q start smiling when you said 77?
It's malpractice at this point, Qadry. I don't want to be a negative fan about this, but you got a $55 million quarterback and a $20 million running back behind a guy that prances around and hits nobody and falls on the field more than he actually makes contact. And I know that people will circle one or two plays a game, but when Lamar Jackson gets lifted off of his feet and pile driven into the ground, luckily they call it a penalty because it was a penalty. He left his feet and he didn't move. He didn't shift his weight. But as fans, we're sitting here looking like you expect to go into January with this offensive line because nobody's a slouch in January in the playoffs. You know, we don't have, we got Myles Garrett this weekend. And he's got 11 or 12 sacks already, and it's week 11. So he's averaging a sack a game. He causes havoc anytime he plays football. Then you have Mason Graham, who's an excellent young defensive tackle, who is probably licking his chops right now looking at Voorhees and Falele. So this is, like you said, this is a very important game. Do you feel like they did a disservice to this team by not addressing that? And now it's rearing its ugly head.
I think Eric DaCosta's way of assimilating talent via draft choices, via the way in which he likes to get value picks, get later picks, accumulate picks, compensatory picks, get some ballers. And I think, whether it be Voorhees with, ACL injury that he had, or if even looking at Daniel Falele, who, looked like a project, but then sort of kind of developed. But, last year it was alternating, linemen in and out. That was the first time I've seen that where, you would have a guy come in, then you would have him go out, come in and out. Usually linemen are the ones that go from quarter one to quarter four.
True.
But yeah, that the Eric Acosta way of doing things, that's his formula. He feels like, what, this is the winning formula, and to not fully address the offensive line. I don't know why Ben Cleveland is on the team. Again, I guess if you want to look at value and all the things, I mean, this is a big mountain of a man, but he got like he had no other place to go. So I guess you resign him. But if you're not going to play him, then what's the point? Then, what's the young man who they drafted? Why am I
Emory
losing my
Jones.
mind? Say again.
Emory Jones. Emory Jones.
Thank
Emory
you,
Jones.
Emory. Yes. Well, his shoulder. So, people are like, oh, he's going to come back. I'm like, man, I promise you this. Them coaches are like, if you haven't gone through training camp, if you haven't gone through preseason, we don't know what you can do. We don't know what you can do
Right.
because you ain't going to go full speed in practice. Like, unless you just crushing it, but
Right.
we just don't know. And coaches,
Right.
they're creatures of habit. They want to see it. So, with that said, they don't know. How do you know? Well, you're just riding or dying with Falele
Falele.
and Voorhees. And Roger Rosengarten hasn't necessarily played bad, but he hasn't played tremendous football
Great.
either. There have been
I
those
agree.
positions or moments in the game where he has these letdowns too. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's the Eric DeCosta way. Like he feels he wants to get the compensatory picks and the value picks and all that, and then he, I guess he feels Lamar can fix things via his ability to scramble,
Exactly what I
and maybe
said.
they're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I don't, I know Patrick Mahomes has had his kind of roller coaster experience with uh, his different offensive linemen, but he does an amazing job of fixing it as well. But they also balance it out in the way Andy Reid calls plays and
Right.
some of the designs. I think Todd Monken. There's times where I think it feels like he's handcuffed. It feels like he doesn't necessarily just open it up and let's go. I don't know what the level of strong back and forth game planning communication with him and um, Lamar is I you know I don't know. In other words, is it him, T, and Lamar just sitting there like, yo, we got this issue. So
Yeah.
here are the plays, Lamar. What are you thinking? All right,
Yeah.
I like
What
these.
do you
Keep
feel
these. Throw
comfortable with?
these out. Here's my
Yeah.
game. Here's what I'm looking at. What are you looking at? All right, we're all on the same page. Like I
Yeah.
don't know those things because we're not privy to it. But
Right.
then what it seems like compared to what it looks like with Andy Reid and what Patrick Mahomes has going on, it seems like they're more user friendly slash allowing for um, a greater expression of his fullness of talents compared to what it seems like with Lamar. So I don't know. Is that Harbaugh? Is that Todd? Is that Lamar? Who? What? Where? Why? We probably won't ever know until a couple of years, and somebody's going to write a book or somebody's going to go on some podcast and say something, but we just don't know.
I know that's right. You brought up Ben Cleveland. I've been asking this question. Me and Matt been talking about Ben Cleveland all year too, and we was trying to figure out what the hell is going on with that situation. Like Falele have not. I mean, it's almost like a lack of effort watching the guy play. Like he literally, if the guy doesn't come directly to him, he's not touching the guy. He's not going to get anybody. He's not looking up any extra help. His in open field, he just looked like a fish out of water. He just looked very timid, very passive, just very unsure of every single thing he's doing on the field. And I just cannot figure out for the life of me why he would be on the field starting when you got a guy like Lamar Jackson at quarterback. If you just brought somebody in that was a little bit athletic and just gave effort, they would seem to me would be better than Falele. So
But Zeitler was in house. Zeitler
right,
loved it here,
right.
and they felt like, oh, he's going to break
Oh
down.
man.
Well, no, he didn't break down in Detroit.
He did
No,
not.
he didn't break down in Tennessee either.
Yeah.
So, what happened?
Q,
Mother of
I,
pearl.
Right.
I said that during the trade deadline show that we did last week. You went and got Draymond Jones from Tennessee, and it was right there. You could have grabbed Zeitler for another draft pick.
Yeah.
Or you could have made that 4 or 3, and you could have got both of those guys.
Yeah.
That almost seemed like it was too obvious to do.
Yeah. I feel like that's
Like,
going to be because of us not winning this year.
I wonder if, though, in Tennessee's view, is like, y'all got y'all Lamar Jackson, but we got our Cam Ward, homeboy. We ain't trying to go ahead and like sit there and give away what amounts to a protection element to our franchise quarterback. So maybe that was that. I don't know, because offensive linemen, they're hard to find and all those things. But to your point, though, Trig, like, what are we doing with like just not recognizing? Hey, let's not worry about value picks. That value picks aren't really developing. We got to look at how you're doing things, and if you got some veterans that you can go out and sign free agent wise that are proven, do that. And stop trying to accumulate picks.
We have that problem on this show too, Q. And the thing is, they value the draft picks more than they probably should. But Daniel brings this up a lot on the show, and I wanted to get your perspective as another former player. When you have 4 really good offensive linemen, it's easier to hide the weak link in the offensive line. Last year, the weak link was Faalele, but you had McCary, you had Linderbaum playing at an all-pro level, you had Stanley playing at an all-pro level. Rosengarten had an excellent year as well. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit more difficult to hide 2 bad offensive linemen, especially on the interior, because now it's making Tyler Linderbaum look like he's not playing all that well either. And to be fair, he's given up 13 pressures this year, but it's egregious that they didn't address this. Zeitler was sitting right there for the taking.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that, I again, to be a fly on the wall during their evaluation process.
What would you pay?
Just mother of pearl, because if I remember what was their liars luncheon, as they call it, where the pre-draft and they try to do some misdirection and all that. I every year it's like, you guys do this clandestine, figuring it out but not really figuring it out type of way of doing things. I will also say that the poaching of some of the guys that were in the Ozzie Eric regime that are now elsewhere, that I think has had an effect on the process of acquiring talent and recognizing, identifying players. I think that has had a big effect, and I think the guys that are in there now, not all of them. It's not like I'm sitting there like, I think all of you should be, but I know one thing, that if I'm Steve Bisciotti and we're looking at 1-5 and we're looking at the blaring holes, and I'm looking at Emory Jones and I'm like, what who picked him? Who's the one who didn't see his shoulder, or why have we not rehabbed him well enough? I would also look at some of the picks that we had that didn't pan out, and figure out those processes, because I think now that these staffs have formed elsewhere, like, for example, the Chargers, taking literally Joe Ortiz, and Joe, that dude, he was one who was like on top of it with all the little minute details of all the players in the draft. I mean, when I was working for WBAL, he would come in, we would sit down, and I mean, he would just go through it, like, just a lot of it off the top of his head. But I think that thinning out of the staff because of them just getting chances elsewhere has taken a toll.
And you see how
Seeing Mike McDonald, man.
yeah, and you see how the Chargers are winning. You see how they look. They look like the Baltimore Ravens of old when they took half the team with them. Go ahead, Matt. You saying something about Mike McDonald?
Seattle is one of the most dominant teams in the NFL right now. They are literally our blueprint. Tough nose running and defense.
Yeah.
And a good quarterback managing the game. It's insane to see that the Chargers and the Seahawks are literally modeling their organizations after us, and they're having success. And here we are, 4-5. It kills me, man. It makes me want to crash out sometimes, Q. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Don't crash out. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, Matt,
but I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Yeah. I feel you. I had some crash outs too. Don't get me wrong. 1-5 is just unacceptable. Yeah, and I think for all the things that we were talking about, it's whew, it's right there. But I think if there was ever a glass half full, is the way the defense is coming along. I do think though the aberration of the Rams game though, because you're coming along. Oh, but they only gave up 17 points to the Rams. I'm like, man, shoot. The Rams just decided not to play. They were thinking about going overseas to play. Who was it? Jacksonville, I guess, was the next team up. And because Devontae Adams and company and Puka Nacua, if he didn't get hurt on his ankle, but Devontae Adams was like dropping passes and easy touchdowns. And Matthew Stafford was, not as the Matthew Stafford, because then the very next week, he threw up like 5 TDs or something like that, 5 or 6 TDs, and just looked no turnovers, just looked like a stud. So you dodged the bullet, but football is football. Week in and week out, you got to show up. They showed up, sort of. But I do like the way they righted the ship when it came to playing against the Bears, when it came against, recognizing that they needed to solidify themselves and not just take things for granted. Giving the offense a short field, I think that's where, once Cooper Rush, even that decision for Eric DeCosta and bringing in Cooper Rush, it just didn't fit what the Ravens model
I don't know what
is. So I don't know. I'm like, but I think overall, Tyler Huntley coming in, settling down the offense, and then the defense kind of getting its legs back. And I think finally what we're seeing from the defense and Zach Orr and company, Alohi Gilman trade, I think that was as big of a trade as I've seen. Like, wow, he's really settled things down. And Draymond, I think his aggressiveness to the quarterback, what is it? What is 11 quarterback hits? I don't want him to settle in and be like a Dafe almost, where it's like, oh, almost okay, you didn't get him. But
almost the first
bruh, I'm telling you, he's a first round pick and talent galore. And it was like, oh man, Dafe almost had him. Man, Dafe was right there almost. Oh, almost. Wow. It just became a Dafe almost. It just almost had him. So hopefully Draymond and Mike Green and the way in which they kind of set the tone with JJ, it will be that way with young Dylan Gabriel. Oh yeah,
they were getting after McCarthy last week. They got after him a lot, and they were getting after him on 3 and 4 man rushes.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be, though. Yeah. The defense just hasn't looked as creative as they normally do. So, this whole Zach Orr experiment thing was like, hey, I was scratching my head, and I'm a player, so I wanted Zach to be successful. I really, really, really did. And I remember when they first hired him, the first year, first 3 or 4 games looked like crap then. And I remember Corey, I was like, he sucked. And I was like, no, Corey, chill, bro. Chill. He one of us, bro. He was like, he shouldn't be the damn coordinator. And I was like, see, you got to give a man a chance, bro. He one of us. So when it turned around last year and we started playing really, really well, I was super excited to see that for Zach. So I really wanted him to come in this year and start off hot as hell. And then we lose the damn game, the first one game, 41-40. The Ravens giving up 41 freaking points. I'm like, what the hell are we doing? And it was downhill from there.
I'll die on this hill. Anthony Weaver should have been the guy.
Yeah, I agree.
Go
ahead, Q.
I don't know. No. I mean, I'm with you as far as Anthony Weaver. I'm big Weave.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know why maybe John. I don't know. Is it one of those, the 48 laws of power where, John was like, nah, homeboy, you a little too charismatic. We can't just have you. Whereas he can have a guy that
could possibly be a head coach.
Yeah, where, and he's had other head coaches before on the staff, former head coaches on the staff. So it ain't like he's hiding in a sense in that regards, but also in the sense of, well, he's young, he's charismatic, he's a former player, he knows his stuff, and the entire defensive staff. I mean, they had some ballers on there. Mike McDonald wasn't just like, oh, Mike McDonald shows. No, he had some ballers for coaches, assistants on that staff. So, yeah, maybe that's why he's like, I can groom Zach, whereas Anthony's going to be his own guy, and let him.
Let me tell you what I think it was, Q. Let me tell you what I think it was, Q. I think it was because we came from the same cloth me and you came from. He was a billet guy. He wasn't a hardball guy. Zach was a hardball guy. That's what I think.
I hear you. I think there is some sensitivity there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think. He was a billet guy like me and you. Like both of us were billet guys. Weaver was a billet guy. And then Harbaugh came in, and all the billet people he was really trying to get rid of. And he wanted his own, wave of guys to come in. And Zach Orr was one of his guys. So he promoted one of his guys from within and let one of the billet guys go elsewhere. That's what I felt.
Sure.
Because Weaver was hands down the guy to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to see him down in Miami is I'm like, bro, that's another Raven team right now. You know what I'm saying? That's another Ravens defense down there playing. They were playing well. The Miami defense playing really well this year.
Oh yeah, that first half of the Dolphins game on that Thursday night, brothers is probably sitting there like, what are we doing? What is this?
What the
hell? But then they tightened up and Lamar and company overcame some lele roly-poly type stuff, and Pancake Pat, I'm sure he didn't like Chubbs kind of knocking him on his butt and pancaking him, but I think Derrick Henry and them, they did what they had to do and get over in the second half. But then when you saw, Weave and them take it to the Bills at home, I mean, that was impressive. So you're right. Yeah.
It's damn impressive, bro. Like, I'm sitting here scratching, like trying to figure out what we're doing. I'm watching other teams do what we used to do with Rex, like put everybody on the line of scrimmage, and then guys are bailed and they'll rush like 3 or 4 from one side of the field. And there's always a man that comes free. You can't block everybody. It's too hard because you got to sit and wait to make sure the guy over you not going. Then he bails out. Now you can't get over to the other side in time to stop the blitz from the other side. So it's hard, bro. Like just watching other teams do what we used to do, and watching us do what we did for this first half of the season. I'm like, bro, what are we doing? And I guess I keep going back to the coaching situation, Q, because as well as I know, when all your stars get hurt, you got to be as creative as hell with your game planning. You got to figure this shit out. Like, you got to eliminate their best players. We haven't eliminated nobody's best players all year long. And I'm like, I just haven't seen that happen. Everybody's best player get off on us.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And in fairness, we, outside of the one long pass to Naylor, the Vikings, their best player, Jefferson was kind of held in check. He didn't do any of the gritty, so we're happy for that. In fairness, when it comes to your point, the Lions game,
Shit.
Texans
Gibbs,
game,
Montgomery, St.
Bills
Brown,
game,
shit, you name it.
the Chiefs game. To your point, they were 1-5 for a reason.
Yeah, we put everybody in the
So
Pro Bowl.
I hear you. No, I hear you. I'm hoping that the trend is going towards what we saw against Justin Jefferson and holding him and locking him down, not letting Jordan Addison get off. I think a lot of that has to do with the defensive communication and just knowing that Alohi Gilman is back there. I think that's what Zach Orr likes, that three safety look that can really Darius Washington's injury is the most underrated thing that happened this offseason
Boy,
that
yes,
derailed the
yes,
defense.
yes.
Dafe almost, as well as possibly some of the deficiencies on the D line was one thing, but our Darius Washington AD's Achilles rupture was the most underrated thing that was happening that you could point to like, dang, once that happened, it just
Yeah.
shifted everything defensively.
And then Matta BK was the one that kind of put the stamp on it too.
The
After that,
end season, yeah, the end
yeah,
season. Once,
yeah,
Matt BK, obviously, Broderick Washington.
yeah.
Broderick
Washington was
Washington got paid, and then last year was like just mid-level. But then he was supposed to elevate, and then all of a sudden he got hurt again. Now, we'll see what is what with that. But you're right, Beaks.
dang lost my boy, but he was 100% right. He was 100% right. Yeah, good. Yeah, Q, you're 100%. I know, right? This is the ghost of the We Bleed Purple
Technology.
podcast. Q, you're 100% right. Me and Matt talked about Washington's injury and how detrimental he was to the success of the defense last year. Once we got all that safety stuff figured out with what's your boy name that left that was from the Saints that came in for a while and then played like crap?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, Marcus Williams.
Yeah, Marcus Williams.
Marcus Williams. There you go. Marcus Williams.
That
Yeah.
whole buffoonery of that situation was crazy. And then Washington kind of came in. All of a sudden, we just kind of leveled out. And then next thing you know, we started to elevate, week in and week out. Q got frozen in a crazy position. It just kind of leveled up, and we just kept getting better week in and week out. So losing Washington in the preseason was definitely a hard loss for this team and this organization.
Yeah, I tell you what, Alohi doing his thing.
He is, boy. Thank you,
Jesus. Is allowing for Kyle Hamilton to breathe a sigh of relief. The continuing progression of Buchanan and Trenton Simpson kind of playing more of a supportive role as opposed to a main role has been really good for the defense as well.
Yeah, I like Buchanan.
Buchanan. I mean, there's some things that he's a young player, so I'm not I'm not tripping.
Yeah,
but there's little like I'm like I hope you don't get caught up in that blocking scheme or read your keys better. But he's getting better. Roquan every now and then.
Yeah,
I'm like, bro, I hope you have this Cleveland game. I hope he plays just like he played Cleveland in week 2
with Flacco at QB. Yeah, I know that's right. See,
we need it.
I feel a lot of the linebacker issues are really kind of based off of what we have up front. Like they're not holding up guys and keeping guys off the linebackers. Linebackers have to go through too much traffic to get to the tackles and stuff right now. They're not flowing and just playing free like they used to. And I think that's a huge part of what's the discomfort is for our linebacking core right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think hopefully, some of those young guys that they got in there, the CJ Okoyes of the world, will help kind of hopefully. We saw a little bit of that. We saw, like I said, I think he had a batted ball down one or two or something like that. And Kyle had a couple. But I'm hoping that, Travis Jones continually elevates his game and his play. That's going to be pivotal. Yeah, I hear you. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Matt.
Oh man, it is definitely difficult watching the defense sometimes, especially like you said, the front four has a lot to do with the linebackers not being able to get play sideline to sideline football like we're used to seeing with the Ravens. I wanted to ask you, Q, talking about the game Sunday. Offensively, what do you think the biggest problem for the Ravens defense will be coming from the Cleveland Browns?
I think for the Browns front and the way in which Jim Schwartz does it, hopefully Lamar's whatever was going on with his knee is a non-issue. I don't think we really saw him be as explosive offensively against the Vikings. I think when he had like 9 carries, only like 36 yards or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he didn't practice on Wednesday this week, but if he's good to go, I'd love to see a little bit more explosiveness from him. You know, I know Bateman's going to be out with a high ankle sprain. Uh, Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews both. I'm sitting there like, where were those drops? Like in the first drive, and I'm like, it was just uncharacteristic for both of them. I
It
think
was.
they're looking to get back into the groove and into the flow. Um, they made up for it later, but still, knowing both of them as far as just their level of excellence and their level of expectations for themselves,
Right.
you know, that's going to be cool to see if they can create mismatches based upon the fact that they might have to go 3 tight ends just to offset what the Browns are doing with their personnel package and be able to protect with Charlie Kolar, Pat Ricard, but then also have an opportunity to use the aggressiveness of their defense against them by either the quick game via their different smoke screens that they do, bubble screens that they do, via the way in which they match up their tight ends. I think that is something that I'm expecting to see from the Ravens offense.
Yeah, that would be. I think that would be amazing if that actually happens, Q. Because I haven't seen us be very creative with the amount of talent that we've had all year, and I question the game plans almost week in and week out. When you got somebody like what's big fella coming off the edge, Miles Garrett.
Yep.
Miles
When you
Garrett,
got
yep, yep.
yeah, when you got a Miles Garrett, bro, you got to chip his ass to death. Like you got to chip him so damn much that he pissed off at the world. You got to cut him. You got to chip him. You got to crack block him. You got what do you call it, the wham block? Where you come across the behind the line and hit him. You got to do every single thing you can to make him get up off the ground a million times in this game. And if you're not doing that as an offensive staff, to me, you're kind of selling yourself short and you setting your players up for failure, man. You got to run away from guys like that. You don't want him. You don't want to run into a guy like that unless you just double teaming him with a guard and a tackle. Even going tackle over in a game like this and bringing 2 tackles on his side would be huge. But I just don't see us getting creative like that at all. Bringing an extra tackle in the game and have them, get a numbers, then be a tackle eligible. I don't see us doing things like that with Montkin. I just don't understand the thought process of not doing that when you're playing guys that could actually hurt you. Miles Garrett is an absolute game wrecker. You can't let this guy hit Lamar, 15 times this week. Like seriously, bro, you got to do something to protect your QB.
But I think again that's where like we're just not in those rooms. We're not in those meetings. I
Right.
know Monken has had those different tackle over type formations and overload and or different personnel packages. That's what he was known for, and that's what he did in his first 2 years. I'm not in the room, so I can't. I can only speculate and be curious if like you're saying, there has to be something that offsets the greatness that is Miles Garrett and their rest of their defensive front. The defensive front is formidable. Like, make no mistake about it, they're formidable.
Yeah,
And
they're legit. Always been legit.
ooh, man,
Yeah.
like so Miles stirs the drink, but everybody else they be bringing it too. So yeah, this is one of those games where it's a division game. It's a 4 o'clock game, I heard. So if that's the case, then Lake Erie is going to be weird,
Ooh.
Yeah.
especially in November. We already
Yeah.
had the Arctic blast come through the Northeast. So I'm wondering now, from a bigger picture standpoint, Arctic blast, is it Lake Erie, Lake effect? How's that going to be with the kicking game? So the kicking game now comes in and concerns me with everything. Tyler Loop is going to have his hands full
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things too.
Whew. Shit. This is gonna be a tough one, bro. Like, these are the games that make me bite my nails because it's a division opponent. They know us
Yep,
extremely well. They know Lamar
yep,
extremely well, and they know the coaching staff extremely well, and so you just
yep.
don't know how it's going to turn out, what game plan they're going to go against us to try to get on us on offense and defense or special teams. And, I don't know how this thing is. I really don't know how this game is going to pan out. Like, we could easily lose this game against fucking Dylan Gabriel. Like, what?
Oh,
Like, what? Dylan Gabriel? Like, I'm sick. I know, right? I'm sorry, Q.
We're not losing this game to Dylan Gabriel. We're not.
Bro, like, what's
The
going
only way we're
on?
losing this game, the only way we're losing this game is if we go out there
And beat
and just
ourselves.
totally just get Daniel Falele roly poly oly. That's it.
Yeah.
The
We
only
can't
way
be
we're
out here.
losing this game if we just look at the way in which the defense gifted the offense a short field and they get caught into a scenario where they didn't take advantage of it, and somehow Lake Erie like affects Tyler Loop's ball and he misses a field goal or he misses an extra point. The only way we lose in this game if Jordan Stout, who's been crushing it with just the coffin corners, the only
Yeah.
way we lose in this game if somehow Jordan is like, oh my God, my hamstring, I've been hamstrung. And he goes James Franklin on us and shanks one because that's it.
Oh man.
Like we win in the
uh,
game. The Ravens are going to get to 500.
Yeah.
Then they
We
got to
need
play the Jets, and they just can't get in their own way. But before you turn all that, they're going to get to 500.
that's a perfect lead into the last part of our show, Q, because Daniel and I have a segment every preview show where we like to pick an offensive player of the game and a defensive player of the game, and we do a score prediction. Now I know you do a lot of this on the Purple pregame show, and so you're no rookie to this. Daniel writes everything down in his handy dandy notebook. He doesn't take notes in his phone like millennials, but uh, since you're our guest, who is your offensive player of the game for this week? Who's your defensive player of the game, and what do you believe will be the final score?
Well, I think offensive player of the game. Offensive player of the game is going to be either Keaton Mitchell or Tyler Linderbaum. Defensive player of the game is going to be Alohi Gilman. I think he gets in on the interception train and intercepts a pass that Dylan Gabriel is going to throw to Njoku. David Njoku is going to come across the middle. What? Interception. I think the special teams player of the game is
I
going to
like that.
be Tyler Lue.
shout
Tyler is going to get
shout
baptism by fire, and he's gonna figure it out real quick. And that straight kick of his is going to be fighting the Lake Erie wind, but he's going to survive it. And I think he kicks the game-winning field goal. I think it's the Ravens will be Ravens 23, 23-17.
Oh, that's a close call right there.
It's a division opponent.
Yeah,
The
that's
division. It's
true.
always weird.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It's always
Yeah.
weird. Go ahead, Matt. Who you got?
I think this is going to be a lot of like the first game. We took them behind the woodshed, so I don't have any respect for the Cleveland Browns, or their fans or their sports writers who kept Art Modell out of the Hall of Fame. I'm forever resentful for that. So that's just shining through a little bit. Q. Offensive player of the game. You took Keaton Mitchell, so I'm going to go with Tez Walker. I think he's going to be active this week, and I think he's going to score 2 more touchdowns. He's going to come back hot, even though he's been inactive. I think he's going to be active while Rashad Bateman's is nursing that injury. Defensively, this is the Draymond Jones show. I think he's going to get a couple sacks this weekend on the national stage. My score prediction, I am going 38-13 Ravens.
38-13.
I like yours better than mine.
I love it, man.
I'm just resentful because Art Modell he did so much for the league, and the fact that he never made the Hall of Fame. It's grudge. It's writers that held grudges and kept him out. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody talks about. Art Modell deserves to be in the Hall, and they played a huge part, and I'll forever never respect them.
Love it.
No, I agree. I trust me. From a fan base perspective, I get the rivalry and all the things. So, yeah, you're not gonna hear anything from me. I'm appreciative that I had the opportunity to play here in Baltimore. Mr. Modell has been one of those owners that I hold in high regards. Him and his family and what they did for me to revitalize my career. Yeah.
Did you?
So,
Super Bowl champ.
yes, sir.
Bowl champ. Yes, sir. Go get it.
We love you here,
never
man.
take it away from me.
Q,
I know that's right.
Q, just speaking from the fan perspective, you're like one of the most popular on-air personalities that we have, that played for the team. But we collectively love you here in the city, watching you on WJZ every weekend.
I'm humbled by that because I know part of the reason why I moved back to Baltimore was because of the fan base. And it's interesting when it was PSI Net Stadium, when the vision board wasn't as monstrous as it is now, but it was state of the art then. I will say, literally, from all the sincerity I have, the way in which this fan base like truly embraces, you as a former player, and in particular me, I can speak for. There had to have been moms, dads, grandmothers, grandfathers, uncles, and all giving that history lesson to the young folk that I get a chance to talk to, whether it's been radio, podcast, television, social media, all of it nowadays. But they have a fondness of back in the day, and I'm grateful. I promise you, I am eternally grateful for what the Ravens fan base, what the flock has done for me in my career. So, yeah, right back at you. The love is right there with you.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you too, Q, as former players too, man. The ones that came in after you, you guys paved the way for us to come in and have a way to do what we did. And you guys made our transition into the city of Baltimore very easy, man. So, I appreciate you guys too, man. You especially always showed love and always been, just dope. I told you even earlier when I text you on IG, said, Q, man, you dope, bro. I appreciate you.
Indeed.
So I appreciate you coming on the show and spending time with us here for the last hour. And I appreciate all the years I had in Baltimore, the 5 seasons I was there. And I appreciate you guys, helping M&T Bank be what it is, man. And That first Super Bowl is always the most special one. I don't care what nobody say. The first one of any organization is always the most special Super Bowl an organization can ever get. And for you guys to take it there when you take it there, dope as shit. For sure.
Word.
Hey,
For sure.
hey,
Well,
Wilcox, you gotta give
appreciate you
your
guys having me on. Good.
Wilcox.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry, Q. Wilcox, did you do your prediction?
Oh, I'm sorry.
He didn't want to do his prediction. See, he had his notes out, and then he was going to keep it to himself.
Hey, bro, no, I mean, it is what it is. Really, all I needed was yours, Q. I didn't really need mine.
Okay.
So my offensive players of the game, I'm gonna go tight end love this week. Likely and Andrews, I think gonna ball the hell out. I agree with Q. They had a couple of drops early that was kind of weird. They're not used to it. They both had one, and then they both played well the rest of that game. So I think this week they kind of got together. Like me and Heap used to be fire and ice, and I think these guys are figuring it out right now, man. And I think they're gonna come out and they're gonna have a breakout game this week. And then defense, I'm going with Kyle Hamilton. He's an ATLian like myself, and I just love to see the kid play, bro. I just think he's gonna get up for this game against Cleveland. And I think he's just gonna have a hell of a freaking game. He's gonna be all over the freaking field, making plays from 50 yards deep to behind the line of scrimmage, 5 to 10 yards. So, and then my score prediction, I think, is going to be a kind of a blowout. 31-17, Ravens win. I think the defense is going to keep these guys on the 21, like we're accustomed to doing in the city of Baltimore. And I think we're going to put up 31 points this week. I don't think Dylan Gabriel is going to really stand a chance. And I kind of need this shit because I'm really frustrated with this whole Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders type thing. Dion was a huge friend of mine. I really loved him to death as a brother. And, to see his kids be in the NFL right now and getting treated the way he's getting treated, shit's kind of pissing me off. So I really want us to beat the dog crap out of Cleveland this week. And I want them to make the right decision. This whole Kevin Stefanski thing and, whatever the beef is, what's going on with Shador Sanders, I think is crap. The kid should be on the field. I thought he was one of the most special quarterbacks I ever seen play college football all 4 years. I watched almost every single game for 4 years, and the kid was phenomenal. There's no reason why this kid shouldn't have been the first pick overall in the draft. And here he is getting drafted 5th round and getting treated like shit. I don't agree with it, me personally. Thanks, Q.
Hey, Q.
Mike was dropped.
Q, before we let you go, I'll let you promote everything you got going on, but I just want to bring up something for the Ravens fan base. We got a lot of viewers right now across all of our platforms. The one of my favorite moments you ever had as a Raven player, it wasn't even necessarily a play you made on the field. It was when you guys went into Tennessee and beat the Titans, and you put the helmet on your knee and talked to the camera on the sideline and talk your shit on the way to our Super Bowl. That was one of my favorite moments. You just pretty much told the crowd to just be quiet while speaking to the hearts of everybody in Baltimore. But go ahead, Q. I know everybody knows where to find you, but go ahead and promote what you got going on.
No, I'll say this. So Missile Training is my sports performance and human movement company that I do. It is totally non-traditional in its base and understanding. And if you want to find out more, you can go to missiletraining.com. Missiletraining.com is where you can interact with me. Shoot me an email, and we will absolutely set up a consultation to help you understand what human movement and sports performance truly is about. Doesn't matter if you're an individual. Ironically enough, I have an influx of baseball players now. Got some different football players that are coming in, but it's kind of been really cool. And of course, soccer, both girls, boys, men's, women's, all the different teams. Definitely look at missiletraining.com. And of course, I also have my other podcast, the Locked On Ravens Squad Show. I'm on twice a week after the games. You can check me out there. And then, of course, WJZ on there each and every week as well with the Purple Pregame Show. And I just love doing that. It's been my 8th year with that. And WJZ, Alex Glaze, Grace Grill, and I, we rock it out. Janae, she is around the town interacting with the fan base, and she is Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, when it comes to just getting the best out of the flock, no matter what her assignment is. So we have a really cool show.
Love it.
Rochelle J, she breaks down our weather And yes, I'll be sitting there like, okay, Rochelle, can we golf this week? That's how I'll be like, who cares about the game, but can we golf? It's football. They'll
All
be
right.
okay. But what about the golf weather?
Okay.
But yeah, our purple pregame, we do an awesome job. So check us out there as well.
Awesome. Q, where's your training stuff based out of? Is it a facility?
Yep, I have a facility up in Hartford County, and you just actually I Hartford County, Maryland, as well as I do a ton of sessions virtually. A couple of my
Okay.
athletes, they'll come in, they'll get an understanding, and then they're like, oh, my one athlete, she is a professional squash player. She is one of the top players in the world, top 10. And gosh, like literally multiple times a week, squash. I have another player who's in college, and we'll get on and do a virtual training. A couple of football players virtual as well. So yeah, a lot of
Okay.
virtual opportunities for people who want to improve their movement and or their sports performance durability.
Missiletraining.com. Let's go, people. Let's go.
Yes, indeed.
Sign up for my boy.
Thank you so much, Q.
Appreciate you guys.
Q,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
having me on.
Thanks for coming, bro. Appreciate you. Have a blessed night.
Oh man,
That concludes the show, man.
that concludes the show, Daniel. That is a very, very good show. We want to thank Qadry Ismail for coming on again. Q's great. He's on our TVs almost every day here in
Yeah.
Baltimore. But that'll do it for the preview show. We'll be back for post game this coming Sunday night. Hopefully with another victory show. That'll be 4 in a row. Daniel, where can everybody find you, brother?
Man, you already know you can find me at. I'm in the A, shouty. You know what I'm talking about? No, just playing. At Coach Wilcox on X and at Daniel.Wilcox on IG. Bird Gang out. Where they can find you at, Matt?
Mtrig WBP on X, Mtrig89 on IG. Follow our new X page, We Bleed Perp. Like, subscribe, and set your notifications for We Bleed Purple podcast on YouTube. And find us over on TikTok at Wilcox Custom Homes and Mtrig or at Matt WB.